Hello, fellow nerds, and welcome to Our Nerdiest Thing. Today, we're going to be discussing books with BDE. You got to say it like that.
Brown donkey ears.
Yes. How did you know?
I know. That one Shrek book. That's all I
say. We're only going to talk about Shrek.
Okay, we're going to do it. Okay. B, Whitney.
Boys.
No, big. We have to say what it is. B.
I thought we were making it up. Big.
Mindy.
Dick.
Deb. Energy.
Big dick energy. So we're going to have...
I'm so glad I got to say dick.
Dick. Make sure you listen all the way to the end. We're going to have an interview with friend of the podcast, author Kaya Carrington Russell. She is going into dark romance, guys.
Ooh.
It's very exciting.
I bought 2 of her books when I saw her at the convention that shall not be named. I'm excited to read them. They're mafia romance.
Yeah, she's doing dark romance stuff.
That's
It was a fun,
awesome.
It was a fun convo. More books for our TBR. We were just talking about how we always have books on our TBR. Before we get into our nerdy news, Deb, will you please share about this week's nerdiest cocktail?
Of course. Mindy made us a delicious drink named Death Becomes Her, and it has peanut butter whiskey. If you need a recommendation, Screwball is my favorite.
That's what I use.
I don't know if that's what you use. Yeah. It tastes like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. It's
good.
Freaking delicious. So, and Whitney's over here acting like she tried some.
I did.
Oh, did you try it?
I did.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I had to give you shit.
I did try
it's so
some.
good.
It was good.
So I just said fucking irritating. 6:55.
We need to get a taboo timer. Press it every time we do it.
It's like Pavlov's bell. I'll be like, I'm sorry. But if you would like to know more about this cocktail, you need to listen into Thursday's episode when we talk about Crescent City.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a good time
do
anyway.
It is.
Even if you haven't read the book, we want to give you spoilers and tell you about this cocktail.
It'll feel like you read the book after you listen to our episodes.
Or you can go to Our Nerdiest Thing on Instagram. The recipe's there too.
Yeah.
If you just don't want to give us your listenership on Thursdays, it's fine. We're fine. No problem.
Deb's
Don't worry about
saucy
it.
today.
Let's get into our nerd alerts and nerdy news. I have more. I have some this week again, you guys. I'm really proud of myself. I'm looking for some.
I feel like I leveled up on this section.
I don't know if that's true for me, but I am participating.
I feel like you all feel a undue amount of pressure for this section of the podcast.
That's probably true.
Why?
I just feel like I need to do it.
I don't
it's the
feel that.
student in me.
I always have us covered. I mean, we'll be fine.
Well, I'll go ahead and go first. I only have 2. So the first is The Body in the Backyard by Lucy Score. That comes out today, the release date of this podcast, July 16th. She is the author of Things We Never Got Over, which was huge on social media in the past,
Did you read it?
So I didn't.
My daughter read it and didn't love it. I guess there's a little bit of a bully trope in there.
Yeah, these books this Body in the Backyard, I think is a very different type of writing that she does. This is actually book 4 in her Riley Thorne series, which I did not know about until this week.
Do you know if you can read them as standalones?
I don't think you can.
Oh, okay.
I think you got to read them in order. So it's a lot of true crime vibes, mystery, plus some romance and spice. So that's very much up my alley. I don't know about everybody else, but this book
Murder and sex?
Yeah.
Count me in.
I'm listening. This has moved way up on my TBR because it sounds like a good summer read series, like an easy, light. I mean, not light, because I think there's murder because the title is The Body in the Backyard, right? Yeah. But it's this main character and the boyfriend is a private investigator. And I'm not sure if the girl is also, because I haven't read these books yet, but this
great story.
Yeah, thank you. This one quote, I was like, yes, this is right up my alley. She had saved his life, then saved him a taco. If this wasn't love, he knew jack shit.
Which taco?
Oh, maybe both.
Oh, crunchy or soft?
Anyway,
I'm so funny.
The other nerdy news I have is for the book. I don't know if I've mentioned it on the podcast, but I know I've mentioned it to you guys. Keanu Reeves.
You did mention it.
The Keanu Reeves.
The Keanu. Whoa.
Yeah, he has co-written a book called The Book of Elsewhere by Keanu Reeves and China Mayville. I hope that is how you pronounce that. July 23rd is when that comes out. I just think this is the most random thing in the world. So I wanted to share the weirdness with everybody else. So the Keanu Reeves co-wrote this novel that is inspired by the Berserker comics, which I had also never heard of.
Never heard
that
of either.
Keanu Reeves co-writes.
Oh.
So I didn't know that
He's
either.
my,
is
he's
a
my
man
kind of nerd.
of
I know,
many
right?
talents.
He is. He really is. So Berserker, the comic, follows an immortal warrior named
Berserker.
Yeah. He has to fight his way through the ages. And I thought, all right. So this book is based on that comic where an unkillable warrior just wants to find a way to die.
Oh.
I thought you were going to say wants to find a way to love.
No, he wants to find a way to die. I don't know if there's any kind of romance at all. It looks very sci-fi, like epic fantasy
Cool.
kind of vibes. But
When does that
who
come
knew?
out?
July 23rd.
Okay, cool. Next
So,
week.
Yeah, next week. So, who knew?
Very
Great
cool.
job, Keanu.
Who knew?
Lots more reasons to crush
As if
on
you
him.
can't already do everything,
I know,
Keanu.
right? So that's all my
Excellent.
nerdy news.
Keanu's got some BDE.
I was
Oh,
just about
for
to say the same
sure.
thing.
Yeah,
For sure.
I had in high school this was back when we all had desktops and you had to have like, a background picture.
Oh, yeah.
And it was him pulling a turtleneck over his head and he was biting on the edge of it. It was awesome.
I feel like he would talk you through it,
He would.
and then give you lots of praise. Like,
Yeah.
you're
Good
doing
girl.
well.
Good girl.
That is
You're
my
taking
canon.
it so well.
That's what I choose to believe is the
Yes.
truth. So,
Yes.
what about you guys? Mindy, what's your nerdy news?
I just have a couple as well. First, there's from Liz Tomforty, which that is how you say her name. I always thought it was Tomford, but when I saw her
Oh.
in Chicago, it's Tomforty. She has in her Windy City series. This is the fourth one, so it's the one that started with Mile High. This one's
Okay.
called Play Along. It's a baseball romance with an accidental Vegas marriage.
Ooh.
Yeah, which I always love those. And that one came out as of the airing of this show episode. It came out on July 11th. And then the next one I have is one I'm actually really excited about. I haven't read it, but it came out with Book of the Month in July.
Oh, fun.
So this one's called The Lost Story by Meg Schaefer, and it comes out today, July 16th. And this one sounds so cool. It's two best friends who disappear and they return 6 months later. I think this is when they were teenagers. And one has completely forgotten what has happened and the
Ooh.
other one hasn't. So he basically makes it his life goal to help
Them remember.
help find missing
Oh.
persons. So this other disappearance happens 15 years later after that they came back, and they have to kind of return to where they were. And it turns out it's a magical realm of beauty and danger.
Ooh.
So it's got a little fantasy thrown in there too.
Sexy beauty.
Yeah. So I don't know. It sounds super intriguing to me, and I'm excited.
Yeah, that sounds like a different
Yeah.
kind of story, which is usually what we like to read.
Exactly.
Right? So,
100%.
awesome. Excellent.
Excellent. So I can't believe, Whitney, you didn't say this already, but today the Au Pair Affair by Tessa Bailey comes out.
Yeah, I thought about it, and then I thought, am I talking too much about Tessa Bailey? So,
Oh, do you talk about her in our BDE section later? Okay. Well, for those of you that don't know, this book is a sports rom-com about a burly, surly single dad who falls head over heels. Or, I'm sorry, she says head over hockey stick for his quirky live-in nanny.
I love that.
And it is a continuation of two of the characters from the first book in this
Fangirl
series, Fangirl Down. Yes, thank you. There is a pretty serious trigger warning in this book. There's some abuse and being held against her own will. Like, she has her own personal journey she has to go through. So just a heads up. And then next week we get to meet Tessa Bailey, which I'm super pumped
Yay.
about.
So excited.
It's about damn time. I can't wait. Next, and all of my books come out today, actually. Next, we have The Beautiful Villain by Rebecca Kinney. And this is a spicy adult retelling of The Great Gatsby.
oh,
Oh, that's different.
I know. I can't wait. I actually have an audio arc for it. So I'm really excited to listen to that. And then finally, there is a book called Smother Moss by Elisa Allering. And the description is when a pair of female hikers are brutally murdered on a nearby Appalachian trail, two sisters find themselves drawn into the hunt for the killer.
ooh.
I thought it
That's up my
sounded
alley,
cool
too.
since, the Appalachia is part of
Yeah.
Kentucky. And it sounds very, very much like they are into a lot of mischief in their Appalachian town and,
Yeah.
brought down as women and all that bullshit.
Yeah.
So could be kind of interesting.
I wonder. There's a lot of lore, I guess is the right word, about going on the Appalachian Trail and like people that
Dying?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
actually.
like people that live out there that like
Like
take
deliverance.
advantage. Yeah, deliverance.
Kill you?
Exactly. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
They don't take
Yeah.
kindly to
They
other
don't take
people in
not
those
to
parts.
not to outsiders. Yeah,
Right,
I wonder
yeah.
if that book is going to have any of that kind of stuff.
I get
You know?
the feeling that the people in their town are those people, and they are the outsiders that aren't like that. That's what I get from the synopsis,
blurb.
at least. Right? It's
Interesting.
I haven't listened to it yet, so
Well, add it to the TBR, everybody.
add it to the TBR.
Well, let's get into the nerdy and dirty. What have you guys been reading? What you up to?
Sorry, I was drinking a delicious cocktail, so I couldn't answer you.
Well, I'll go. I finished The Paradise Problem by Christina Lauren. Which
Did you like it?
I loved it. It was a 5-star read for me.
Me
And I think
too.
for you too. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
going to say, it was just so fun and good. It's like not a marriage of convenience. What is it? Or no, they were supposed
is
to be
a
married.
marriage
Yes,
of
it
convenience.
is. Yes. So it's just a very, very cool twist on marriage of convenience. They get married when they're in college because they want to share an apartment, and it's like a marriage apartment. Which I've never heard
She
of.
gets free. They get like subsidized housing if they're married.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
So they actually got married. They didn't just pretend. And then he leaves, and she thinks that they got divorced. She thinks she just signed divorce papers, but she didn't. And he's got this big problem with his family, and in order to get his inheritance, he has to be married for 5 years. So that's sort of like the start of it. But then they end up going to like this wedding, this extravagant wedding of his sister, and it's on this like remote island, and you can't get off of it. And it's just so fun, and it's so sweet in the way that it's kind of a slow burn, I guess, but it's
Yes.
like a steady burn, and it's so good.
Nice.
Two things I really love about that book is, number one, when he comes back to find her because he has to prove that he's married, right, to get this inheritance,
Yeah.
she is baked out of her gourd. She has just gotten laid off from her job, or fired, I guess, not really laid off. And she is just stoned out of her mind off gummies when he shows up. And she's like, I don't know if this is really happening or not. And then the thing that made it a 5-star read for me is she is quirky and he is business, right? And I feel like in a lot of times it's like, well, he loosened up and she grew up. They didn't have to
don't.
change.
Yeah.
There was a solution without them fundamentally changing who they were. And
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
hard to write.
I appreciate
So
that
I
as
really
well.
liked that.
And have it work and be realistic. And,
Right.
Yeah. Everybody wants to do the end of Grease, where he becomes
Yes.
the pretty boy jock, and she
They change
wears-
for each other, and then one of
Yeah.
them doesn't end up having to change.
And then they get divorced
Come
2
on.
years later.
or they just ride off into the
The
sky
sunset,
with
yeah.
their magical car that flies for some reason.
They
Anyway,
fucked in the car and then never saw each other again.
That's a whole other podcast
The end.
episode.
That's right.
Well, I finished Middle of the Night by Riley Sager. This is also what I'm listening to because it was an audiobook. And I gave this one 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. I listened to the wonderful performance of the narrator, who has the best narrator name in the world, Santino Fontana.
Ooh.
I
like
I am
that.
obsessed with that. I just love that. Like, you have to be a performer if your name is Santino Fontana.
Right,
I
right.
love that so much. He did a really good job as the narrator. It wasn't as good. The book was not as good for me as The House Across the Lake, but I still really liked it. It was more true crime, not so much on the paranormal like House Across the Lake has. It had some good twists. Overall, I was fine with the ending. I would have changed a couple of things, but it was okay. I was all right with it, you know. I would like to say more, but I can't because it would be spoilery.
So I do have one thing about that because I had finished it right before you did,
Yeah.
and we both listened to it. And when we do our reviews on Instagram at Our Nerdiest Thing, you should go check them out. We always do number of microphones for how good the narrator was. So
Yeah.
instead of 5 stars, we do 5 microphones. And I noticed you gave it 5 microphones. And the reason I did not, it really bothered me that we had an Indian family and a Chinese family, and he gave them white voices. It bothered me a lot.
Yeah.
So much. There was even a part where the young Chinese boy tells his mom, like, why can't you talk normal? And then she talks in a normal white woman's voice.
Well, that's funny because I felt like he did give her, that character, a little bit of an accent, but I wonder if they were
Not
like,
to the point, though, where the kid would have been
Well,
like,
yeah.
why can't you talk normal?
I wonder though if I don't know who the producer of the audiobook, whoever powers
Right,
that be, if they
right.
were like, don't do too much because you're not actually
well, you also
Asian.
you don't
know what I mean?
you don't want it to turn like racist.
Stereotypical
Right.
either. Yeah.
But at the
Yeah.
same time, an Indian boy and a Chinese boy
Yeah.
would have some sort of accent based off where their like how close their family lineage was to not starting in the U.S. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that really bothered me a little bit.
Yeah. It
Still a
didn't
good
bother
book.
me.
Still a good book, but as I was listening to it, I was like, wait, I didn't know that he was Chinese or she was Chinese until he made that comment.
Yeah.
And then I noticed that the names of the other family were definitely of Indian descent, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, now it's bothering me. Let's at least give representation where it's due.
Yeah.
Right?
I feel like that's a hard line to do,
know.
though,
It
when
is.
you are not of that race or ethnicity.
Right.
I can totally see how people are like, you know what? Just don't.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. I can
Like,
see that too.
Erring on the side of just, let's just not.
Right.
And then we'll just pretend like we did.
But that's also part of the problem with
Well,
representation
yeah, I
too.
know.
So like
Yeah.
you can really see it both ways. I'd be interested to hear from one of our listeners. We do have listeners in India, so I would love to hear, like, would that have bothered you, or
Right.
do you wish it was there?
Would it be
Yeah.
offensive or
Like,
would
do
it
you
be,
want a
yeah.
white man doing an Indian man's voice? I mean, I don't know.
That's
Well,
a good question.
We also
Right.
don't know Santino Fontana, what his actual, I don't know what his ethnicity is.
Oh, that's
very
true.
He may
Italiano.
not. I know.
He
what a
definitely
name.
sounds like he's tall and like has like really beautiful long hair that he slicks back just a little bit.
I like didn't want to look him up because I'm afraid that the vision that I have is going to be way better.
He looks like
The
Bob
reality.
Allen.
Shout out to Santino Fontana. Oh man. Well, if you like the true crime genre, I think you would probably like Middle of the Night.
liked it.
If you're going to be waiting for a paranormal aspect to it, you're going to be waiting a long time.
Well, and that was my feedback to you while you were reading it. I was like,
Yeah.
don't wait for something paranormal to happen, because I kept on the edge of my
House
seat
Across,
going,
yeah,
like,
because House
what is
Across
it?
the Lake is very much like that.
Right.
This is just a different type of story, which is fine.
Yeah.
It was good. I liked it. Yeah.
Good deal.
I know. I've read a couple of other books. I was telling you guys before we started recording. I've read a couple of other books that I've gotten recommended from BookBub, which I mentioned in our last episode as something I'm loving, and they were just not that good.
She's not loving it anymore.
She's not rating them on the website.
I've got a crap ton of books still from BookBub that I have not read yet, and I'm just
Every
like,
book
ugh.
that's recommended by your friend Deb is great. I'm just saying.
Yes. I was trying to think. Is there one that I haven't liked? I don't think so.
I don't think there
I don't
is.
think so.
Because I curate what I think you're going to like
Yeah.
too, because I'm a good friend.
I don't tell you about every single book I read, right?
Don't I?
It feels like it. I don't know. I do have that Lucy Score, The Body in the Backyard series. That's next step for me. So hopefully that'll be good.
Hopefully.
If I never talk about it again, then I didn't like it.
If it doesn't show up on the website.
Right. If you never hear about it,
You know
then I
what we
didn't like it. Deb, what are you reading?
I talked about this book releasing last week. It's Bound to the Shadow Prince by Ruby Dixon.
Oh, yeah.
And I told you all it's about a princess who has to stay locked inside a tower for 7 years with her sworn enemy, right? And it's really good so far. The
Yeah.
pacing's really great. And by the time this episode comes out, we'll have a review up on our Instagram. I can't wait to finish it. I've been kind of
Yeah.
obsessed with it. And I had just read another arc from her about a minotaur and a human.
Yeah.
And it worked.
Yeah.
Right? This is the girl, this is the woman, girl, they, them, I'm not real sure what she goes by, that brought us the blue aliens from Ice Planet Barbarian, and we all
Oh,
loved that
okay.
shit. So the Minotaur one was really fun. It had some good banter and also a really strong female character, but Bound to the Shadow Prince, I really like it. The guy's really great.
Is
He's-
that a monster romance?
he's a monster. Yeah.
Okay.
He's like humanoid, but he has like horns, and he has like his knees are shaped opposite of ours,
Oh.
you know?
Oh, okay.
And so- but-
more like a goat or a horse.
Don't say that.
But like you think
That's
about
I'd
what
say
I was
more like a
thinking, too.
horse. I'd say more like a horse.
like hind
Yeah,
legs.
he has like
Okay.
hind legs,
I'm
but he
thinking
stands up.
Mr. Tumnus from the Chronicles of Narnia.
But really buff. Really buff. He's like her protector.
if
It's really
Mr.
sweet.
Tumnus worked out.
If Mr.
Mr.
okay.
Tumnus didn't skip leg day.
I have to say, when I watched that movie, I had never read the books, and I
Oh,
really
yeah.
thought he was like a pedophile. They do such a good job. They do such a good job of making him creepy, because
Yeah.
he is, kind of an enemy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my god, he's gonna hurt her. He's gonna hurt her. What did C.S. Lewis bring into this world?
Oh man, he would never. C.S. Lewis would never.
He wouldn't.
Well, what are you guys watching?
I'm watching Fireplace YouTube videos.
A crackling fire background.
So no, I
not
don't.
hot enough
I don't.
outside for
No,
you?
I don't turn the sound on. I put this on in my reading room, and I turn on the box fan app on my phone to drown out the world. I find that I'm so overstimulated by dinner time that I'm a bitchy mess,
Me
and it
too.
really helps.
For real.
Feel that.
Because the ambient of like that light in there, right? And then the sound, and like I tell no one to come in there. And last night I went in there and I ended up downloading that township game on, you know what I'm talking about? That's like the ad on every game where you like farm and shit. And my daughter came in there and she's like, "Are you still playing this?" And I had been playing it for 2.5 hours. I went in there with every intention to read Bound to the Shadow Prince, but I have this little word game, and it was an ad for it, and I was like, "Why? She needs to get more eggs. I have to go find out what's going to happen." It reminds me of The Sims a little bit.
Yeah, or
Yeah.
like Farmville.
Yeah. But,
Oh, man.
But I'm going to say cooler because it's got to be, right?
I'm going to say
Definitely.
cooler. But we're not sure. The jury's still out.
What are you all watching?
Mindy, you go ahead.
I just discovered on Netflix that they have redone this show called The Mole. And I don't know if you've ever heard it. Back in like 2001, Darren and I, that was like the heyday of like reality. I mean, I know it's still there, but like this was like when it was really taking off, and like Survivor was real big, and they had
And
all
brand new.
right.
Yeah.
And so Darren and I got attached to this show called The Mole. It's a reality show, and
Is it new episodes? Or is this the old ones?
It's new now. So they've redone it for, I think they started in 2022. And it's basically you have a team of people and they work together through these challenges, and they can earn money that goes into like a pot basically. And then, but one of them is a mole that's planted that's supposed to like sabotage
Wait,
everything.
this is the game Panic Station.
Oh, I guess it kind of is.
Kinda, yeah.
But they, I said and I like fucked it up. Sorry.
Got in your head.
Yeah, I did. I definitely did.
Sorry.
That's my fault. But while they're doing these challenges, one of them is a mole that's like planted to sabotage everything. So, but they can't let them know that they're the mole.
Right, they
They've
have
got
to
be
stay
secret,
secret.
right? And if at the end of the series, whoever guesses who the mole is, they win that money and that they've been collecting. And if no one guesses, then the mole gets the money. It was such a clever and intelligent show, and we just really, really kind of glommed onto it back then. And then I was like searching around on Netflix for something to watch. I was actually going to watch Dexter because somebody suggested that to me, and then I saw The Mole and I was like, oh no, I'm going to watch that. So Darren I think is going to start watching it with me again.
So it's not the old episodes. They're
No, it's
redoing
new
it.
ones. They're new ones. They started in 2022, so they've got 2 seasons already of it.
Cool.
I hope it's not going to be like they've tried to redo it and it's like kind of
Stupid.
cheesy and dumb. Yeah, I know,
Yeah.
because it was a super intelligent show. It was so
you
cool.
are the mole.
Yeah. I feel that way about the new Deal or No Deal, and it's like on an island, and
Oh, it is?
yeah, it's
Yeah, see, I hope
Is
they don't
Howie
do that.
Mandel still the host?
no, it's Joe Manganiello. However you say
really?
it. Yeah, it's like the most random
He's
thing.
like, shit, I need work.
Sure, I'll do that. Oh man,
No more werewolf shirtless parts for
yeah,
me.
no
I guess.
more. So I started watching Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Which we are so excited about.
Yeah,
It only took you 24 years.
well, to be fair, for while it was actually on TV and I still lived at home, I wasn't allowed to watch Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
I can
And-
understand that.
And I follow most of the rules when I was growing up. So.
But making out in church
Except for,
stairways, except for that
I
one.
almost said that. And then I decided not to. So I'm still on season 1. I have not finished season 1 yet. And I have got to talk about the hyena episode. So I mean, it was so ridiculous. I was by myself watching it because Robbie was out of town. And I was like, I wish there was somebody here that I could be like, what is this? So first
Wait,
of all,
Xander had BDE for a minute, though.
well, that's arguable. So I will say, generally, I am very much enjoying the show. I never watched that show because I wasn't allowed to, but I do feel like I know a lot about it because it was just so very much in pop culture, and Sarah Michelle Gellar was so very much in pop culture. So it's middle school, high school, like very much there in the zeitgeist, and so I feel like I watched it, but I definitely didn't. So I started watching this while Robbie was gone on a work trip. So I've been continuing to watch it while I walk on my walking pad. I did not have super high expectations for a season 1 from a show from 1997 that was on the WB.
Yes.
Like, no offense, but you know,
100%. I feel like we probably told you.
What was it before that? UB? What was it before the WB? It was
UPN.
UPN.
I think it was UPN.
Yes,
yeah.
right.
Either that or they merged to become the CW. But anyway,
it was UPN, then WB, then CW.
Yeah. So it's the late 90s. I know, like, they didn't have money. They didn't have success at that point, right? Because it was the very beginning. So they weren't getting more money. Like, they were limited with their resources, and that's fine. But episode 6, I would love everybody to just go watch season 1, episode 6.
Maybe we'll do a bonus episode.
Yeah. It is so insane. I mean, there's a lot to talk about. I laughed a lot. Most
like
of the
a hyena?
Probably. I feel like I laugh like a hyena just generally. Like, that's my, like, when I really think something is funny.
You just have a boisterous laugh.
What I really, really loved the most, it took a really long time for the stakes of this episode to, like, get up there. You know what I mean? So, like, eventually first of all, the high school kids go on a field trip to the zoo, which in and of itself I thought was weird because in our experience in this area, elementary school kids go to the zoo for their field trip. High school kids don't, in my experience. So that in and of itself I thought was super weird. But then
Dawson went in middle school.
But see, that's still not high school.
You have to remember, in like LA, there aren't really animals and stuff around.
I guess that's true. So the school bullies and Xander somehow get possessed by like evil hyena spirits, ? And so for the majority of the episode, the danger is really just like dickhead comments. And
we're still in danger from that.
Insane laughter and overly aggressive dodgeball. And that truly is it. And
What's not to love?
They keep going to these close-up shots of Buffy and Willow, and they are like distraught at how their friend is acting. And I'm like, he literally just like threw a ball too hard. It's not really that serious. But then, they ate the principal. So then the stakes got a little higher.
Yeah, that raised it up
but
a little bit.
I've thoroughly enjoyed that episode. It was so funny. It was the whole time I was thinking, how did they get through any of these scenes without having to redo it a million times? Because the actors would just be like, what is this? What are we doing?
They probably
here?
were laughing constantly.
They were just really happy to be on the WB.
That's probably true. There was this one guy in one of the bullies, and I kept thinking, who is this guy? He looked so familiar to me, and he was on the show once upon a time. He was Pinocchio.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
I'm glad to know he got more work.
I know. I looked him up. He's got
there are a
work.
lot of recognizable actors.
So many
Rob Benedict's
random
in that one.
people.
Okay, I have to say something.
In that episode?
Not in that episode.
Oh, in Buffy?
I think in the first season, maybe the first episode.
Pedro
I don't know.
Pascal is
He's
in
like
it
a
too.
really
Yes, he is.
He's a terrible looking vampire, like bad makeup, like it's so bad.
Oh, Rob Benedict is in it.
That's what
is
I
that
was
what you
talking
just
about.
said?
That's-
Okay, sorry, I heard
yeah.
Pedro Pascal.
Yeah,
so
he's in it too.
I will say the UPN WBCW, they really like to use the same actors, so you're going to recognize a lot of people from Supernatural.
Absolutely.
I wondered that. I was going to ask you guys because so the Supernatural fandom has that season 1 episode Bugs that everyone's like, okay, the episode is stupid. Is the hyena episode like that at all for Buffy fandom, or is the fandom just totally different and they don't care about that?
They just don't care.
Okay. Because I was like, this.
I feel like a lot of them
feels...
don't like the musical episode.
Oh man, I didn't know there was a musical.
There is a musical episode.
It's a little bit farther in. But.
So I have to tell you something though, Whitney, because I know what you're going to want to do. At a certain point, Angel got his own show.
Yes.
And it's at the end of season 2, I believe. You're going to want to veer off and go watch Angel because you're going to miss him. You really shouldn't. You need to finish all of Buffy first, even though they aired simultaneously, because you're not going to understand why some of the characters are so beloved as they are without watching all of Buffy first.
Yeah.
I don't think I would have liked watching it simultaneously at all. So don't do it. But when you're done,
I would never.
Angel
resist the
has a
temptation.
really cool folklore arc that I love.
Yeah.
So you definitely need to watch it just after Buffy.
Ooh. Well, all right.
Whitney's going to be busy for the next few months.
Well, I don't think Robbie will watch Buffy with me, so it'll have to be like random spurts. Like, oh, he's gone. All right, how many episodes can I get in? So, well, what are you guys listening to? Because mine was middle of the night that I already talked about.
Did you tell us what you were watching, Deb?
It's Fireplace
Fireplace.
Videos.
Oh,
That's
videos.
right. I forgot.
And it's literally only watching because he turns the sound off.
Right.
I love it.
What are you guys listening to?
I finished Not in Love by Allie Hazelwood.
Oh, yeah.
And I have to say that people who like the light spice versions of Allie Hazelwood's writing may find this book to be a bit overwhelming.
Oh,
Ooh, okay.
Me, on the other hand, I liked it. I liked it.
give me more.
The spice is literally nonstop in this book.
Ooh,
wow, okay.
Nonstop. The author, and we know the author writes really great intimate scenes, and this book is no exception. I will say overall, is it anything new and earth shattering?
Yeah.
It's not. It's set in the STEM world. He has BDE. She is a scientist,
Nice.
right? It works, and you kind of know what you're getting into. But if you thought that Love Hypothesis was too spicy,
Don't read
Don't
this.
read
Not in Love is not the right book for you. But I have to say, if you were like, I wish they'd fucked more in Love Hypothesis, you should read this.
Her books are all standalones, right?
They are.
Okay.
They are. But like in Love Hypothesis, the next book, it carries on with people that you saw in the first book, but it's not necessary. You don't have like formed relationships with them. I can see where she's going to go next, like what character she's going to write next in this.
Yeah. Well, I'll add it to my TBR. I need a good spicy romance.
I'm not listening to anything, by the way. So Whitney,
Oh.
it's up. You're up.
Oh, okay. Well, let's talk about what we're loving. Mindy, what are you loving?
I am loving, number one, this peanut butter whiskey and just about anything you can make with it. So good. But I'm also loving, I got some special edition Helena Hunting books in Lovely
nice.
Box, or Lovely, is it Lovely? Hello Lovely, the Hello Lovely box.
This is my lovely
My
box.
lovely box. Who wants my lovely box?
I think Darren.
He does.
Me too.
So they put out a special edition one that was just her books, and it's the 3 books in her Lies, Hearts, and Truth series, which is the Pucked spinoff. It's the kids of the Pucked. And it's just got some really, really great new artwork on the covers. It's just beautiful, beautiful. And I've been waiting for like 2 months for this thing, and it came in, and I about went crazy. And Darren was like, "What the hell?" It's like, it's books.
It's my lovely box.
Yeah, it's my lovely box.
And just to clarify, the Helena Hunting, they're adult children.
Yes, I'm sorry.
You said it's their kids. I'm like, let's be clear.
No, it's Muppet Babies for Pucked. No, I'm just kidding. Muppet Babies.
Oh man, I need somebody
Yes,
to do.
no, they are adults.
I need somebody to do like Muppet Theater like they did for Harry Potter.
Oh, yes.
You know what I'm talking about?
And the ticking sound.
Yes.
That one.
Yes.
Whatever happened to those people? They did 3 videos. Did you ever watch the Wizard Swears one?
Probably.
Oh my gosh.
I think I watched them all at some point.
What was it called? It wasn't Pottermore, because that's her.
Harry Potter Puppet Pals.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Well, Deb, what are you loving?
I am hoping to release 3 new mini bookshelves next week in my shop. So before we ran out of power last time, because every time it storms in this fucking house, we lose power for 5 days. I was going to take a Dragons fantasy bookshelf and a vampire paranormal bookshelf with us to Imaginarium, but I did not get them done because of that. But I'm also going to post the From Blood and Ash themed bookshelf that I've been working on like forever. I got into like a little bit of like not a, what's it called? Like a character creative block, right?
Oh, yeah.
And so I think I have that figured out. And then also there was a local candy store here giving away their used wooden trays for free.
Oh.
They're like really big too, and they have handles on the end. So I'm going to line them with book pages and put items in from the fandom and put resin in them so they can be like book trays.
Oh, cool.
So I'm going to start with
That's
the Cruel
awesome.
Prince because that's the one Sadie wants. So
Yeah.
I'm really excited. I'm going to do that page where it just says Jude, 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 and
Yeah.
put that in the middle and then surround it with other pages from the book.
Oh, I love that.
I'm
really
really
cool.
excited about it. It's going to be fun.
That'll be awesome. That's what I'm loving. Well, I'm just loving. I'm going to tell you what what I'm loving right now, and then I'm going to give you an update on it. Last week, Robbie went out of town, and I get very overwhelmed very easily by my children, which is partly because of just a byproduct of my anxiety disorder. So summer break in general is usually a difficult time for me, and it gets worse when, Robbie's not here. So especially with just the ages that my kids are, they're very high energy.
Your kids cannot.
They're young.
They're not old enough to be completely self-sufficient.
Yes, they don't do super great independently. Like, it's just a lot all the time, and I get very stressed out very easily. And then I'm like, and it sounds exactly
Try
like
the
that.
fireplace. Try it.
Well, I
Try
have
it.
to have them leave me alone. Is the issue?
Do it when they go to bed.
The
It really
issue.
will. It really will soothe you. I promise.
Well, then I need Robbie to leave me alone. Did you hear that, Robbie? He listens to these episodes.
you said he was out
sometimes.
of town, though.
Well, at this point, yes, that's
Yeah.
true. But he's going to be here for a long time. which I'm happy about because I love you, Rob. So I had a really good week with the kids last week while Robbie was gone.
Oh,
and
nice.
that's what I'm excited about. So they're really funny. They're very sweet. They're fun. They were just lovely children, and I had a really good time with them. And sometimes I hesitate to talk kind of about getting overwhelmed by them, because I know that not every mom feels that way.
Yes, they do. They just don't admit it.
Well, but not every mom has an anxiety disorder, and not every mom gets over.
That's true.
You know what I
Right,
mean?
Right. But I think it would be silly to say for any mom to be like, I never get overwhelmed and my kids are angels. No, they're not. You're lying.
Sometimes also they're just judgmental about moms that do talk about it.
Right.
But I know that a lot of our listeners, because we messaged with them one-on-one, right? I know a lot of our listeners do struggle with that. And so I'm trying to be relatable. You're not the only ones. And I just had a really good week with them, and I enjoyed the time that I had with them. And then I typed up all those notes about what a great time we had and what a great week we had.
Is this your update?
This is the update. And we had the worst day yesterday.
Oh no!
I typed up all these
not
notes.
funny. I'm sorry.
I typed up all these notes 2 days ago, and then yesterday it was just like, guess what, bitch? Like, it
Don't brag about
it. Yeah, it was so horrible. And I was like, well, at least we had those few days last week. So that's what I'm loving right now.
Sorry.
I will say
it's fine.
though, those good weeks will start to overtake the bad ones as they get older.
Yeah. And when school goes back in.
Right.
We are
But
now
I'm
officially
saying
more than halfway done with summer break.
You'll be, which makes me
true.
really sad.
It makes me sad too.
because my kids are older.
I'm
But
like, let's go.
I will say, once they become much more self-sufficient, like can get themselves breakfast, and you don't have to worry about their, if they have underwear or socks on and all that shit, it just gets a lot better.
One day. Did you do what you're loving?
Yeah.
Everybody
Peanut butter
did.
whiskey and
peanut
Helena
butter whiskey. That's right. The children.
Whitney.
The Muppet Babies.
The children.
The children of the hockey stars.
Well, that brings us to our nerdiest topic, books with BDE.
So excited about this one.
B.
Oh, big
Dick.
Energy.
with our powers
Every
combined.
time I do it, Whitney's like, why are you pointing at me? What are you doing? What are you doing?
What are we supposed to be doing right now?
With our powers combined, we have a freshly shaven big dick.
I never know what's going to come out. What's going to come out of your mouth? Well, Deb, why don't you go first with our BDE books?
Sure. Well, let me just say that I tend to love books with strong characters, mentally and physically. So I struggled to narrow down my list. I really did. So I broke down my fave BDE characters into genres. So I have paranormal, fantasy, and romance. So don't giggle. Let's start with the 5 books in paranormal.
I've got a list of 25 total books.
I don't, I promise. First, I want to talk about Adrian from The King of Battle and Blood by Scarlett St. Clair. Adrian is the Blood King who is conquering all of the local kingdoms, and he is a morally black character, but is searching the realms for his reincarnated mate.
Yeah.
And he really just knows what he's doing, if you know what I'm saying. And he commands the room, he commands a presence, he gets what he wants, but does really respect her boundaries, which I really like.
Yeah.
He's one of 2 of the only blonde MCs I like. The other one being Callum in What Lies Beyond the Veil by Harper L. Woods. Callum, who is a fae, is searching for his fated mate as well, and is part of the wild hunt to find his human counterpart when the veil between the fae and the human land suddenly shatter. He is a multi-layered character. There's a lot going on with him. He is one of those like him, hate him, like him, hate him, like him, hate him, which I think sadly helps with the BDE.
It doesn't always, but it
doesn't always, but it really does with him. My third paranormal book is Belladonna by Adeline Grace, and I mean specifically in the audiobook format. Hear me out. The character of death. Okay? Kristen Atherton narrates this book, and her voice for death is demanding, throaty, and makes him sound like he can command anything. It really makes you swoon. I promise. I think that book is meant to be listened to.
Gives you the tingles.
A little bit. Then we have The Serpent in the Wings of Night by Carissa Broadbent. Rain is the FMC's main competitor in this book, and it's a vampire Hunger Games type novel. But he ends up falling first and super hard. Sorry.
He just bounced right back up.
He ends up doing some pretty awful shit. Stop, God. I never know what's going to come out of your mouth, Whitney.
Oh, man.
Let me restart my sentence.
Sorry.
He ends up doing some pretty awful shit and then redeeming himself, which is always fun to read when you love a character and then hate a character and then they grow enough to come back around, right? He has a good redemption arc in that series, which there's a third book coming out in that world this fall. It's different characters. It's not those two characters, but it's set. I think it's who is his friend? What is her name? It starts with an M. I'll put it in the show notes.
Meredith.
Nope.
Definitely
Margaret.
It's like
Marge.
It's like Mercy or something like that.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. I can't remember, but I believe it's her journey.
Oh, okay.
The book's about her.
That'd be good.
So my final paranormal book series is the Coven series by Harper L. Woods. Alaric is a headmaster at a school of witches and has nefarious reasons of his own for being there. This series is dark academia, and dark it is. The FMC is his student, but I have to say he's over 20 years old. So it's fine to be in the student-teacher trope, like love, kink, fest.
Yeah.
It's great. It's very, very dark, though. So trigger warning there. So let's segue into my fave BDE characters in fantasy and talk about Rune Dannon.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you knew he was going to come up. Sorry, this is just going to be a whole
always does.
Beavis and Butthead episode. He is our Fae Prince frat boy from Crescent City by Sarah J. Maas, and he is a giver. And he
is.
really loves to please his partners.
He knows how to do it, too.
And when he finds his person, he really turns into a mushball for her, which I really like.
Yeah.
So, because he's very much toucher and die type of guy, but he really, well, we're talking about him some in the next episode that's going to release on Thursday, and he did something to piss me off. But what I want him for, he doesn't need to talk.
Me, too. Yeah.
My other fantasy book character is Kieran from the Jennifer L. Armentrout series From Blood and Ash, but specifically A War of Two Queens and A Soul of Ash and Blood by that author. And I'm specific about these because in these two books, his character just has more of a spotlight. In The War of Two Queens, he cares for Poppy, which is the main character, and shows her a vision of her watching him get it on from afar, which actually happened 2 books prior,
Yeah.
which is really kind of great. We also have The Joining, which if you don't follow our Instagram page, you should go watch the video of me asking JLA if Kieran actually has penetration during that scene. And then in A Soul of Ash and Blood, Cass walks in on Kieran servicing a woman, and he doesn't even stop, which is kind of hot. Yeah. I gotta say, not bad.
Hot.
Not easily distracted.
No, he is not.
When he's going down on you, he's all in.
We are not mature enough.
This is deteriorating fast.
I mean, our episode's called BDE. How mature did you think we were? And finally, I have one contemporary romance book that stands out above the rest, and that is The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood. If you've not heard of this book, it's based off Kylo Ren and Rey from the Star Wars series, but it's set in the cutthroat world of STEM research. The male is a huge nerd, but also works out, and he makes sure that his woman gets everything that she needs. I have a couple of honorable mentions from our listeners via the Instagram channel that I wanted to give shout outs to. Evan Sanders from the Mile High Club. Have you read that?
I haven't read it yet.
Okay.
I have it, but I haven't.
I know someone who's read this, and apparently there's a lollipop involved.
Oh, okay.
Whitney's face is saying, oh, but my loins say yes.
I'm just imagining a lollipop like insertion, and I don't want that.
No, I'm picturing a lollipop demonstration.
No, it's an insertion.
Oh, it is?
No. It is.
No, thank
Yeah.
you. That sounds like a yeast infection.
I mean, I've read cucumbers before, so why not lollipops?
The next honorable mention are all the vamps in the Black Dagger Brotherhood series. Jamie Fraser from Outlander, who is our favorite Scottish virgin, who he had swagger long before he ever had sex.
That's
I don't know
true.
how he did it. And then finally Rowan from Butcher and Blackbird, which
Absolutely.
are we ready to talk about next season?
I think we are.
Sure.
Whitney's like, I don't know, are we? So next season we will be, our read-alongs are going to be Butcher and Blackbird and Leather and Lurk. So
Nice.
get ready for that.
So excited.
More
Lots-
information to come soon.
Lots of BDE.
Tons of BDE. I will say, though, I do think Rowan has more BDE than his brother does in Leather and Lark. There's just something about Rowan.
Yeah.
I don't know what.
We'll have to save the conversation for
Yes.
next season.
Yeah, we will.
Because I disagree.
Stay tuned.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Stay tuned. Okay, I'm excited.
First episode.
Food for thought.
First episode, we're going point by point over who has the bigger dick and why.
I'll have a PowerPoint ready. Mindy, what are your BDE books?
Well, I have a couple that kind of overlap. I said King of Battle and Blood also by Scarlett St. Clair, but I actually, so when I think of BDE, I think of that swagger where it's like you just command the room, right? So I put that I think Isolde has
I actually
BDE.
almost put both of them. That's
Yeah.
funny.
I mean, she may as well have a dick because she has balls. So, I mean,
She does. She's awesome.
She doesn't back down. She's a badass. She knows what she wants sexually, and she's just amazing. So I put her down as my BDE character for that one. And then I also had anything from Black Dagger Brotherhood because it's major BDE with the huge vampire dicks to back it up. So
Well, and they're all finding their fated mates. So
Yes.
there's
Yeah.
a lot
It's
of
just-
touch her and die shit. In
there's just so much good going on in that series, and we've talked about that quite a bit. I also want to give a shout out to Slade from Raven Kennedy's Plated Prisoner series. He's so powerful and alpha, and I just, he's. I don't really have much else to say other than yes, please.
that. And he
just does
taught
it
us.
for you.
He taught us about edging.
He did, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yes, he
Way
did.
to go, Slade.
Love you, Slade.
Thank you, sir.
And Raven Kennedy. Thank you, ma'am.
I also love Vemdor from A Realm of Ash and Shadow by Lara Buckheit. He's got that Shadow Daddy vibe.
I thought you meant Vecna from And I was like, what?
She really likes that his face is already lubricated.
Oh, man. I was mixing up what we were talking about.
I love that decomposed skin vibe.
Oh, man. I'm with you now, though. Vemdor, yes. I agree.
With the Shadow Daddy vibe.
Yes.
And then,
Sorry.
of course, it wouldn't be me if I didn't talk about a couple of hockey romances, right? So it was really hard to pick from Helena Hunting's because they all kind of have it. But one that I wanted to point out who I think is just great is BJ Ballistic from...
Is that his name?
Yes. So there's a whole thing about this. So his dad is named Randy Ballistic, and they call him Randy Balls. It is
Do
hysterical.
these parents just hate their children?
This is why this series is so funny to me because it doesn't take itself that seriously. But anyway,
Yeah.
so BJ Ballistic is Randy Balls' son, but he's
course.
older, so not the Muppet Baby
As
one.
you do.
And so this book is called Shattered Truths. It's the third one in that series, but it's a standalone. You don't need to read the other ones to read it. He is actually a figure skater. So all the other male main characters are hockey players, but he is a figure skater. But he's tatted up. He's got lots of swagger. He falls in love with a girl who's a hockey player. So it's just, and he's one of those guys. So in some of the other books, he's the friend that falls asleep anywhere and just exudes coolness. Everybody's like, oh, that's just BJ,
If I knew falling asleep anywhere was cool, I would have been doing it more often.
No kidding.
If peeing your pants is cool.
If living with the chronic illness and always being sleeping is cool,
Call me Miles.
But he's just always there, and they're like, oh yeah, that's just BJ, and it's, I don't know, it's just funny. You have to really read the whole series, but
he doesn't
this one's
fall
good.
asleep during a BJ, does he?
Oh hell no.
Okay.
No. And then the other one that I love that I actually haven't talked about this series on the show yet is Vince Tanev from Meet Your Match by Candy Steiner. He is the quintessential hockey playboy, hotshot rookie, lots of bravado, and the main female character in this one definitely gives him a run for his money because she's super strong and in your face, and she doesn't care about any of his shit. So that's a fun one. It's a really fun one. That's the first one in her series from that. So check that out. And then finally, Travis Maddox from Beautiful Disaster. And I want to point out, do not judge this book by its movie because it is horrendous. The worst thing ever. Do not watch.
Not the book.
The movie.
Okay, yeah.
The book is one of my favorites. He's an angry bad boy. He fights in an underground fight ring. He rides a motorcycle, lots of tattoos, and he has a scar on his eyebrow.
I find it ironic that you and I love tattoos so much. And does Darren have any tattoos?
Darren does not have tattoos.
I was like, wait, he was in the Navy, but no.
I know, right?
Our husbands have 0 tattoos, and it's travesty.
It is. I know.
It's never too late, boys.
So much potential.
We've both been together with our spouses for over 20 years. Can we finally just talk them into it?
I know, right?
We could get Darren to get a tramp stamp.
I think I could.
For the record, I have a tramp stamp.
I might be able to get Darren drunk and get him to do it. Brian
doesn't really drink. What am I going to do?
Promise him a BJ?
I mean, he gets those anyway.
I know, but an extra one? While he's getting his tattoo?
That's a romance novel, not my life.
That sounds dangerous.
I will say, speaking of Black Dagger Brotherhood, they go for tattoos, and Quinn fucks the tattoo artist behind the curtain.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, it's hot.
But not during a tattoo.
As soon as they're done.
Well.
Yeah, before they lock up.
Can you imagine that tattoo? It's like, it looks like like an EKG.
Well, I have 5 BDE books, and I was trying to branch out a little bit and not mention the exact same books that I always talk about because I love them so much. So I did not talk about The Bonds That Tie, but that definitely has BDE.
I thought for sure one of you all was going to bring it up, so I didn't put it there.
Okay, I know that we always talk about The Bonds That Tie, but who do you feel like has the most BDE?
Griffin.
Oh yeah, I was going to say North, but you're right. It's Griffin.
It's Griffin.
Yeah, 100%.
Who I swear, and I know this is not what Jay Bree says, but he has to be a black man. I picture him as a really strong black man, and it bugs me that there are no people, like none of the guys are people of color. It bugs me a little.
I picture Adrian from King of Battle and Blood as not a blonde.
That's true. That's true. We make them how we want them.
Yes. They're all Pedro Pascal.
You do what you need to do to make him feel hot to you.
Yeah. So my first BDE is not a book, but an author. So Tessa Bailey. I've talked about her books a lot on the podcast, but all of her books that I've read anyway have major BDE. I love her main characters. Her guys are swoony. They're hot. I love it. I've read a lot of her books and have enjoyed all of the book boyfriends that I've made along the way. So one of my favorite male main characters of hers is Wells from Fangirl Down, who definitely has BDE and he knows what to do with it, and he'll talk you through it too.
Mine is Secretly Yours, the guy from that.
He's good too.
He loosens up a little bit, and I have to just say this out loud, she writes really good couples masturbation scenes, which I know sounds like kind of weird.
It sounds like it would be weird, but she does
a really good job with it.
Yeah, she really does. So Fangirl Down was only the second Tessa Bailey book that I ever read. Wreck the Halls was the first one for this podcast, and I loved Wreck the Halls. I don't know what it is about Fangirl Down. There's something about it, and that is what got me hooked
golf
on
sexy.
Well, Robbie's a golfer, so I already thought it was sexy.
But you have read It Happened One Summer, right?
No, I have now.
Okay,
but I
had now, right? And you've read.
I read Wreck the Halls and then Fangirl Down, and then was like, oh, let me read every book Tessa Bailey's ever written.
Got it.
So next, I've got the Four Kingdoms series by Whitney Dean. Please make sure that you are reading Whitney's version. They're on Kindle.
It's very important because someone is holding her other work hostage.
Yeah, so read Whitney's version, and it'll say Whitney's version on it. There are 3 released books in the series. A 4th book is forthcoming. Raven and Zeke. This is what I wrote down. Raven and Zeke are hot.
Fire.
Yeah. You've got Dark Magic, An Addiction to Killing, Dream Walking, Insta Love, Mates, A Mysterious Stranger, He Falls First, Hidden Identity, lots and lots of great spice. Book 2, they're just having sex all the time. I mean, like all the time.
It's just 300 pages of a fuck fest.
I mean, it really is. I highly recommend that series. And next up, I've got also by Scarlett St. Clair, the Hades and Persephone's saga. I was really proud of this joke, and now I'm like, this is a stupid joke.
Let us be the judge of that, please.
It's stupid, but it made me laugh. I wrote, you can't spell Hades without BDE.
Is Hades
I was going to say you can't spell Hades without BDE. And then I was like, oh, wait, there's no B. I just made it but Hades. Oh my God. I was really proud of that. Anyway, so Hades is a morally black, morally gray kind of
morally
villain, but he does good things too. Anyway, he is the hero, and he oozes sex, and it's all kinds of wonderful. So
he oozes sex into her about every third page.
Yeah, he does, yeah. Talk about sex all the time.
It's great though. It does not get boring or monotonous. She's really good at that.
It's a 7-book series, so it is a commitment, but I am actually planning on rereading the whole series in entirety. I was messaging with somebody who was like, well, what about, this character? And I was like, I don't remember how that ended. And she was like, she was covered in blood and holding somebody else's baby. And then that was it. And I was like, I don't remember that. I need to reread this. So anyway.
So I will say, even though it's a 7-book series, 3 of them are from his perspective.
Yes.
The other 4 are from Persephone's perspective. So
I think 3 technically are from her perspective, 3 from his, and then the last one is from multiple people's perspective. And she's writing more books in this world for some different side characters,
which I really need a Hermes book, because in this series he is so freaking funny.
He really
and
is.
he calls Persephone Sephi, which I think is so cute.
It is really sweet. Next up, I've got Praise by Sarah Kate, which is a more recent read of mine. It's book 1 of a series. I've only read book 1. We talked about it maybe last week, where the next book is Stepsister, Stepbrother.
Yeah,
and I was
so
like,
we're gonna go straight to book 3.
Yeah, hard pass on the
For
Stepbrother.
I want to point out again, the second book is really good writing. That's just not a trope I like.
Yeah, I don't. No, thank you. But this book 1 is, like the definition, I feel like, of BDE. He is. I don't even know how to describe it. The main male character is Emerson. You've got an age gap, forbidden romance, praise kink. It's called Praise. Lots of good girls are given out by
I will
Emerson.
say, while I was reading it, I had to clench my thighs together several times.
Oh, he knows what to do with it. It is spicy, spicy, spicy. I don't know why I felt the need to repeat things 3 times, but they are hot, hot, hot. Apparently I'm 100 years old, and that's how I write.
No, I think it's because this makes you anxious, and you're like, I'm just going to be like, it's so hot. It's hot, guys.
Oh, man. And then last but not least, I recommend major BDE, A Court of Mist and Fury and A Court of Silver Flames, books 2 and 5 of the Court of Thorns and Roses series by Sarah J. Maas. Both of those books, they are my favorites in the entire series. Book 2 is, for me, where the genius of Sarah J. Maas's writing shines through, and that is the book that got me obsessed with the series. And Silver Flames, it's all about my girl Nesta. So you know that.
And Cassian's
Pringles can.
Well,
yeah, thank you. His Pringles can.
Yeah. So Cassian and Reese, for me, are top tier book boyfriends. I actually prefer Cassian over Rhysand. You can't talk about BDE without talking about the Bat Boys, including Azrael, but
because Azrael's got the biggest.
Even though we haven't, gotten anything from him
We'll
yet.
learn about it in 2030.
Other than, maybe, hopefully 2030. We know he has the biggest wingspan, but Cassian and Rhysand don't have anything to be ashamed of in their pants, because they know what
their
to do
pants.
with it. Their pants. So you do have to read the whole series to read book 2 and book 5, but those are my favorite.
You do,
ones.
otherwise book 5 you're going to be like, wait, what?
Yeah, you still might, even after reading the whole series.
Someone the other day posted in one of the book groups I'm in, they were like, I heard that ACOTAR is not spicy, so what am I supposed to read? And I put, well, the first book really isn't, but book 5 is very spicy. And someone did a ha-ha, and I'm like, I'm not faint of heart. Yeah. They fuck nonstop in that book.
No, each book gets spicier, for sure.
Right. And it's definitely not like the spiciest thing I've ever read, but it's spicy for sure.
Yeah.
I did not let my daughter read them. I just gave her permission to read that book.
Yeah, Silver Flames is the spiciest Sarah J. Maas book.
Right, for sure.
Period.
Yeah.
Period, the end.
Yes.
I guess. So, well, those are our BDE. I'm just thinking, I didn't write this down, so I didn't put it in the show notes, but an honorable mention for me would be The Cruel Prince. Which
Carden does have BDE.
There's no actual spice, but there's lots of angst and tension, and I think Carden has definitely.
There's
has
a couple
BDE.
of scenes that aren't They're not closed door, but they're
Right.
not too spicy, but they're
Right.
good.
They're not
still.
super explicit for sure, but that popped into my head. I guess when you mentioned it earlier, like he definitely has BDE.
Oh,
He is
absolutely.
the epitome of tattoos and eyeliner. I'm here for it.
Yeah, throw in a swish and tail.
All right, you went too far.
Well, let's go into our nerdiest things of the week.
Okay, I'm really excited.
Okay.
I found a quarry with an inflatable obstacle course and a water trampoline.
What?
Oh.
Where?
It's nearly 2 hours north of Louisville, but 100% worth the drive. The water was perfect and clean. And be ready for a serious workout and to have weird bruises the next day. Like, I have bruises all over my shins because you have to literally climb up onto these inflatables too.
Yeah.
Like, there's like ladders and
Right.
stuff, right? But there's a whole inflatable obstacle course. There's a huge trampoline that has one of those big bubbles at the end where you lay and someone jumps and like
Oh,
you go
yeah.
flying off. There is this big like mountain thing you can climb this inflatable and jump off like the third tower on top of it. They've got little sun decks out there. It was super cool, and it's
Fun.
at a random campground in the middle of Indiana.
I've never heard of that.
Yeah,
Right.
We're getting ready to take a trip to Michigan, and we're hitting Indiana on the way up.
Okay, I'll tell you
Yeah.
where it is.
Yeah, hit that up.
But I will
Yeah.
say, when my daughter and I got tired, because we're book nerds, and my husband and son, they both read books, but they love exercise more
Right.
because they're weird. But when we got tired, we found a really cool lookout spot, and we got to read for about an hour. And it was really lovely.
Fun.
That's awesome.
It was great.
That sounds super fun.
Yeah, it
Definitely
was
check
fun.
that out.
That's why I've had to take 2 naps today, though.
Mindy, what is your nerdiest thing?
So my nerdiest thing is actually a little bit embarrassing too. So this week I went to a bookstore and met Christina Lauren, who is actually 2 people, which I did not realize.
Who knew?
Right. So, and they've actually been writing together for 15 years, and they met, I love this. They met writing fan fiction on a Twilight fan fiction board.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
so
Isn't that
fun.
cool? So they're lovely, by the way. If you ever have a chance to go see them, they're super fun, very high energy, and they love to talk about just everything. And so they mentioned while they were talking about because, okay, their latest book is a fairy tale retelling. It's a Tangled retelling. Actually, it's a Disney Tangled retelling. Actually, they got asked by Disney. I did not realize that.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
I didn't realize that
so,
either.
Yeah, it was. They were just really cool. I loved listening to them. But they mentioned ACOTAR as part of fairy tale retelling stuff. So I'm sitting there. I'm like, oh, okay, they're like ACOTAR. Okay, so we're going up. I'm so embarrassed. So I'm thinking, because it was the weirdest, it was very strangest signing I've ever been to. It was really quick, and you got a picture and they just did it, and then they signed and it was done. It was really strange. It felt very much like Supernatural getting your picture taken.
Oh yeah, just
But
get
I was
in,
like,
get out.
Get
yeah.
your boobs out,
Yeah.
stand next to him, and take a picture.
Yeah.
So but I wanted to talk to them. So I thought that I was going to talk about ACOTAR, in the fairy tale retelling sort of realm. Anyway, so I go up there, but I'm stumbling over my words because that's who I am, because I'm awkward, and I try to spit it out, and I felt the need that I really wanted to tell them about Whitney's revelation that Tamlin isn't the Beast, but he's Gaston. I just thought that was a cool thing, right? But I couldn't spit it out, and finally by the end of that, I could tell they were like, "Just take the picture, bitch." It was I could not get it out, and it made no sense, and I felt like such an idiot.
Tamlin Gaston, not Beast.
Just take the picture, bitch.
I just was so embarrassing. And it was so funny because when I walked up, they were super
Like,
nice.
hey, hi.
No, they were super nice. She was like, "Oh my gosh, I love your whole vibe, your glasses and everything." And I was like,
Aw.
and then I'm like,
And then you talked, and they were like, vibe over.
they're like, bye. So embarrassing.
Oh. Well,
But it really was a cool revelation.
thank you.
I wish
so
I wish I'd
much.
articulated it better.
Oh, nothing is more embarrassing than telling an author hey, you want to send me your sex scenes? I'll act them out.
Okay, for the record, you've not told Scarlett Sinclair that once. You reminded her you said it. It's the second
And
time you saw her.
She remembered who I was.
Whitney is 100%
yeah,
not
did you
embarrassed
not
of that.
see?
It was
Did you not
memorable.
see her security person come stand between you guys?
The fear in her eyes when she
Oh,
said,
yeah.
"Oh my God, I remember you."
That's your nerdiest thing of the year.
So my nerdiest thing of the week, one small one is just the Buffy and nostalgia. So like I said earlier, that is so middle school, high school, like the fashion, the lingo, the actors, like thinking that Angel was like the hottest person I'd ever seen in my life. Like it just is all coming back and bringing me back to middle school awkwardness. And I'm realizing that I still want to look like Sarah Michelle Gellar. And I have for like almost 30 years now. So it's been a fun blast from the past. And my real nerdiest thing of the week happened today. Today is July 1st. And I ordered all of my children's school supplies today. But in my defense, the supply list was available. And also Target was they might still be having deals. So look it up on their app. They had a bunch of deals on their school supplies if you ordered on the app. So I got both of my kids' school supplies, not including backpacks, because we already had some, for $50.
Oh, wow. And as a teacher, I am pissed that Target has all that shit out. Mm. But I saw a reel today, and it was so funny. It was that scene from Clueless where she like pushes the guy away, and she's like, "As if," and over him it says Target school supply section, and then over her it says every teacher.
I feel like last year or in years past, I feel like they've had the school supply stuff out actually earlier than July. So
I agree.
I was glad that they'd waited until at least July. But, check out the app because they might still be having sales. I shared that, like I said, I know it's only July 1st, but the list is out and these sales, maybe you could get them cheaper. And some of the parents were like, shh, shut up. Like, I'm not trying to bum you out. I'm trying to save you money. But that's my nerdiest thing. I am that mom. So that is it for today's episode. Please keep listening for our interview with author Kaya Carrington Russell. Author Kaya Carrington Russell.
I'm out of my cocktail. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.